Human Music Podcast.
We know we don't know everything, but we have what we think is a decent, well-rounded knowledge base, when in reality, even that is like shit compared to what there is to know, you know? And yeah, it skews your perspective.
Yeah, y'all know about like the quadrants of like, this is what I know. This is what I don't know, but I don't know that I know it, but I know it. Yeah. This is what I know I don't know, like calculus exists, but I know I don't know how to do it. Yeah. And then there's the biggest quadrant of all, the shit I don't even know that I don't even know.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the universe lives.
It's true.
Outside of my understanding of misunderstanding.
Yeah. Man, there needs to be a weekly download on that or something, or maybe we could do a podcast episode or something. Like, I see that with a lot. Well, maybe think about it and like do like a proper segment on it, because I see a lot of ninjas going through that sort of stage where they wrote maybe like their third track and they're like, I'm going to finish this, I'm going to pitch it to Ausla, I'm going to go on my world tour after this, I'm going to whatever. And like, there is a sense of ego death going through that phase of like, oh, my shit's so dope. And then it's like, okay, well, maybe my shit could be a bit better. And then you're like, oh, damn, my shit really sucks. And then finally you're like, okay, maybe it's not the best, but that's okay. And I'll still keep learning, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like, it is a bit of a gap getting to that second phase.
Specifically for like learning a new skill like music, it's like I believe the phenomenon is called like the Dunningkruger Effect, where it's like, I mean, it also ties into ego, but like as your limited knowledge in a subject starts to rise rapidly from knowing nothing to knowing something, you feel like the incremental rise of learning establishes a pattern in which means that you're a prodigy, because like you're like learning so quickly. And so like your confidence in the subject matter just goes fucking way up. And so like it's basically like this curve that goes like super sharp up, and you're like, oh my God, I'm like God's gift to music production. And then and then like you hit a point at which you realize, wait, oh fuck, there is a lot that I actually don't know, and this actually isn't that good, and it starts to go down, all the way to the bottom here, where you're like, oh man, I actually, you think you know as little as you did when you started, and then finally, once you actually become an expert and your confidence reaches that point in which you actually know all this stuff, whereas you thought you knew all this stuff, is like that huge gap. But like the effect is like very, like, I definitely went through it. Like the first song that I made, I was like, wow, I was able to like make a full song. Like the first fucking thing, like when I finally learned how to use the program, like I'm gonna sign this to a label, I think, you know, and like thought that it was good, but it was terrible. Like, I mean, that happens to some effect, I think, to pretty much everyone.
Everyone.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you write a really dope track and you just can't stop listening to it, you know? And you're like, you feel like the sickest fucking producer for a day till you like really wear it out.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Evan, I saw a graph that had 2 lines on it that was describing that exact same thing, and both lines in general were trending up like that, but they were like, it started the same place, and then it'd be like, one of them was like your actual skill, and it would like go up and then plateau, and then the other one was like your ability to accurately, like, you know, self-critique and understand your actual abilities. And that one would go, you know, plateau and then go up, and it would cross. And so it's like, as long as the, you know, it's like the skill level was above your ability to self-critique, you would feel like you were the shit. And then they would cross. Yeah. It'd be like, oh, like my skills plateaued for a little while, and then my ability to understand that I wasn't actually the shit surpassed my ability to make music. And then I realized, oh, I'm crap now. And then you kept working, and then they keep crossing like that up the ladder, and no matter how good or bad you are, how experienced you are, you're going to be in one of these two places of either I'm the shit or I'm shit.
Yeah.
And
totally.
the important thing to remember is that this cycle is like all of the cycles. It's natural. It's what happens. Like, try not to buy into either of those ego modes. And back to egos, that's really all it is. It's like, I'm the one that's making the dope music. No, I'm the one who sucks. Man, shut up about yourself. Just keep making music. Just keep studying.
I don't know about you guys, but joining the dojo, I remember being surprised initially. I was like, fuck, I'm not the only, one out of, 3 prodigies on this earth. Like, shit. There's a whole community of people that are good. I don't know. I thought, I knew there were other people doing it, but I was just like, oh, shit. All right, now we're all kind of, at this same skill level in the same sort of limbo. What the fuck now?
Well, which is really funny because when I joined the dojo, I was in a low point of confidence in my material. And one of the songs off the EP that I released for the Tectonic project, when I entered the dojo, I submitted for track feedback, and Ilgates liked it enough that he asked me to become a sensei for the dojo. And then I was the opposite thing. I was thinking that I was shit, and then he liked that track so much that he called me. He's like, hey, this track's really, really good. I think that you could be a sensei if you want to learn all the material, and we'll go through and review it, and then we'll get you set up. And I was like, oh shit, maybe I am good, tight, it can happen both ways depending on at which stage of that exact thing that you're just talking about, Luke.
Isn't it sorry, not to cut you off, but isn't it so funny how quick it flip-flops?
It really is. It really is. Sometimes, if you just smoked a joint and then you're listening to some whips, you're like, oh, dude, these are tight, dude. Damn,
right.
some fresh ears on this with a slightly different state of mind. I'm definitely feeling all this stuff that I was before. And then sometimes you do the exact same thing and you're just like, oh my God, all of this is garbage. I'm garbage. My music is garbage. Why do I even bother? And how does that happen?
Man, I just think we're not to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
I had a case of that too with the Choppa remix that I did with Squashed Out and Lurking Shadows.
That was a big tune for you though, right? Didn't that get
That was my
13?
biggest tune yet, and I gave up on that shit. I was just down to not even submit it. I was so over it. I fucking hated it. Same with my EP actually. But then, man, I had to leave, I had catch a plane ride or something, so him and Kieran just finished it up. And after we found out we won, I remember listening to it for the first time again after that, as if I hadn't even wrote it. It's so weird how instantaneous of a switch that was.
Yeah.
So with the EP, I'm sure you guys know. I know you've been in the process for a bit, Luke, but man, going through that shit and then absolutely hating the songs, and then people telling you they're dope, just makes the pain of the last year worth it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if you get to that validation point, yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, which is why I also think it's really important not to bounce unfinished projects and send them. You should have a full rough draft of the song, and at that point you're just tweaking stuff. Because if you bounce a project and it's there's some stuff that still needs to be done, but you really like the idea, and you bounce it and send it to people or play it for your friends, and everyone's like, yeah, this is great. You give yourself that validation too early on that material, and then you're like, oh, this is this is good, but in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I still have all these things I need to fix. And like the dopamine hit for like what you were doing for that particular song has already been achieved. And your brain is like kind of back burners it a little bit. You're like, oh no, like that one's good. But like, you're kind of in this internal struggle of like, this has a bunch of stuff that I know that I still need to do in order for it to be done. But like, it's this weird trigger that's like, oh no, like I've already got the satisfaction from this song. Like, have you guys ever experienced that? Like, you make an idea, you like it, you bounce it, you listen to it a few times, you like it, you know the amount of work that's going to go into actually finishing it is tremendous compared to the amount of effort that you've already put into it, and then you get some validation on it, and it's almost like that's fine, like it's just going to sit.
Man, I see what you mean, definitely. What was going through my mind more is like who are we sending our music to if it's still a whip? You know, if it's still in progress, if it's definitely not done, and I know it's not done, and I show it to my mom, she's gonna be like, oh my God, honey, you did it amazing, because she doesn't know the difference, and she loves the shit out of me. And she's going to be my cheerleader no matter what. And like, that's a really good person to have in your corner, but it's not a good person to get for feedback. But if I sent it to one of you guys who understands the in progress nature and can give me critical feedback and understands that's what I was actually looking for on my in progress work.
Yeah.
And then also it depends on, you know, for anybody listening, where are you in your production career? If you don't know how to get to a finished rough draft of a song, sometimes you just got to bounce the shit out so you can let other people listen to it and tell you anything at all. So you can just, because I spent so much time pushing songs around in the DAW without showing them to anybody before I got to the dojo, where I was just like, oh, like, I'll go back into this session. Maybe I'll turn the snare up, and the next time I'll come back and I'll turn the snare down. Did that make it better? I don't know. I don't know how to finish a song. I don't know how to make a dubstep tune. What the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to be like, okay, you know what? I've never finished a song. Let me just bounce everything I make out, put it in iTunes, put it on my SoundCloud, go listen to it in the car, listen to it with my friends, and be like, look, you know, I know this one ain't done, but like, is there anything that you like about it? Is there anything you specifically hate about it that I definitely should stop doing in my songs? That bass sound, it's terrible. It makes you want to change the channel. Okay, cool. I won't use that one anymore. Good. That's good feedback.
Yeah. I think that there was an important distinction in there too, as I've gotten enough years under my belt in my production career to like be able to filter out feedback from those two different types of sources. Like, I get less hung up on that, and like, you know, if I give a song a break and then come back to it, I'm like, yeah, I have these 3 pieces of feedback that really resonated with me, and now I know that it's time. I'm in a headspace where I can finish this, and I'm less like inhibited by it. But like, when there's more of like a block of like, someone gives you feedback and you don't have the skills or the efficiency to be confident to be able to fix that effectively, someone's like, you know what, like that main bass line, like it's just not right. And you're like, the first thought in your head triggered is the amount of work that it's going to take to change that is too much. Like, you're going to shelf it. But like, once you're confident, like, oh yeah, no, like I can come up with something else. Or like, I know what about that sound, getting that feedback probably triggered that response. Like, you're better able to jump back into it and fix it.
Yeah, you said something right there. Getting that feedback and looking at that and realizing the amount of work to fix this song based on this feedback is higher than my level of affection for this piece of music.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have no idea how, like what percent, but it was a high percent of the songs I had been working on when I joined the dojo, thinking, oh, they're so close. If I could only have that little bit of polish to finish these and release them, they'll be so dope. and then getting feedback from Dylan, because he was still doing all the track feedback at that point, and just be like, okay, here's a list of things that are like terribly fundamentally flawed with your composition. And I'm just looking at it like, oh, instead of trying to apply 50 different things to this song today, what if I pick like 2 of them and really learn them? Like, okay, I'm layer caking and I need to learn how to checkerboard. Let me just focus on that and like write songs that aren't layer caked and are checkerboarded, so that I don't have these insane problems in my mix that I'm not a good enough engineer to fix. Like we were talking about the other week, like the best mix you'll ever do is the one that'll take the least actual effort because you picked good sounds and put them in a good order that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.